The predator called him. Uncle Death then left its cubs with him. Part 1. The Naming. Ho was 58 years old and he had not killed anyone in 12 years. He kept count. Every morning when he woke up alone in Frontier Station 17, he added another day to that number. It was the only thing that helped him sleep at night. The station floated in orbit around a planet that had no name, only a number. Mining companies sent machines down to dig for rare metals. Ho's job was simple. He watched the screens. He fixed things that broke. He made sure the emergency beacon worked in case someone needed help. Most days, nobody needed help. Most days, he was alone with his small garden of tomatoes and peppers growing under artificial light. He liked being alone. People asked too many questions. They looked at him and saw a quiet old man with gray hair and gentle hands. They did not see what those hands had done. They did not know why he chose to live so far from everyone else. That morning started like every other morning. Ho made tea. He checked the screens. He watered his plants. Then the alarm started screaming. A ship was falling toward the planet. Not landing. Falling. The engines were dead and the vessel was spinning out of control. Ho watched the readings and saw that it would crash somewhere in the northern mountains, about 30 kilometers from his station. He should have reported it and waited. That was the rule. But the life signs on his screen showed 7 living beings inside that ship. 7 beings who would die when the ship hit the ground. Ho grabbed his emergency pack and ran to his small shuttle. The crash site was bad. The ship had broken apart across a rocky valley, leaving metal pieces scattered everywhere. Smoke rose from the main body of the vessel. Ho landed his shuttle nearby and approached carefully. That was when he saw them for the first time. He had heard stories about everyone had. They were hunters from a distant part of the galaxy. They stood over 2 meters tall, covered in dark fur with bodies built like wolves that had learned to walk upright. Their claws could cut through metal. Their teeth could crush bone. They viewed most other species as either prey or enemies, sometimes both. 3 of them stepped out of the smoke. They were injured, bleeding from many cuts, but they moved with the dangerous grace of predators. Their yellow eyes locked onto Ho. He was small. He was soft. He had no claws, no fangs. To them, he looked like an easy meal. The largest one growled something in a language Ho did not understand. Then all 3 charged at him. Ho did not run. He had stopped running from things a long time ago. The first swung its claws at his head. Ho stepped to the side, grabbed the creature's arm, and twisted. The joint broke with a wet snap. Before the could scream, Ho struck it twice in the throat. The creature fell, choking but alive. The second one came from behind. Ho dropped low, letting the claws pass over his head. He drove his elbow into the knee. The leg bent the wrong way. The creature collapsed. The third one stopped. It stared at Ho with wide eyes. This human had just disabled 2 hunters in less than 10 seconds. He had not used any weapons. He had not even looked afraid. The third attacked anyway. Pride would not let it retreat. Ho caught its wrist, stepped under its arm, and threw the massive creature over his shoulder. As it hit the ground, he pressed his thumb into a nerve cluster in its neck. The went limp, unconscious but breathing. Then Ho stood up, brushed dust from his clothes, and walked toward the crashed ship. There were more survivors inside who needed help. He found 4 others. 2 were already dead. 2 more were badly hurt but alive. He pulled them from the wreckage and laid them on flat ground. Then he went back to his shuttle and got his medical kit. She was watching him. Ho knew it before he saw her. He could feel eyes on his back, the gaze of something dangerous and intelligent. When he turned around, she was standing at the edge of the crash site. This was different from the others. She was taller, her fur darker, her eyes a deeper shade of gold. She wore marks on her shoulders that looked like symbols of rank, a leader. She looked at her 3 hunters lying on the ground. Then she looked at Ho, who was kneeling beside one of them, wrapping bandages around the broken arm he had caused. She said something. Her voice was deep, like stones grinding together. Ho did not understand the words, but he understood the question. Why? Why did you hurt them and then heal them? He finished wrapping the bandage. Then he moved to the next injured and started cleaning a wound on its leg. They attacked me, he said quietly, but they were scared and hurt. That is not a reason to let them die. The leader watched him work for a long time. She watched him set bones back into place with hands that knew exactly where to push. She watched him stitch wounds closed with small, precise movements. She watched him give water to the ones who woke up, speaking softly to them even though they could not understand his words. When he was finished, she walked toward him. The other tensed, ready to warn their leader away from this dangerous creature, but she raised one hand and they fell silent. She stopped in front of Ho. He stood up slowly, meeting her eyes. He was not afraid. He had stopped being afraid of death long before he stopped killing. The leader spoke again. This time Ho's translator caught some of the words. She was giving him a name, a title. Later, Ho would learn what those words meant. Was an old word for a family elder, someone respected but not feared. It translated roughly to uncle. Meant death, but not just any death. The kind of death that was clean and quick. The kind of death that came for enemies but spared the innocent. The kind of death that was almost merciful. Uncle Death. The leader touched her forehead with one clawed hand, then extended it toward Ho. It was a gesture of acknowledgement, not friendship, not surrender, something more complicated. She was marking him in her memory as something rare, a being too dangerous to challenge, too honorable to hate. Then she turned away and began organizing her surviving hunters. Within an hour, another ship arrived to rescue them. They took their wounded and their dead. They salvaged what they could from the crash. Before they left, the leader looked back at Ho one more time. Her golden eyes were unreadable. Then she was gone. Ho returned to his station alone. He made tea. He checked his screens. He watered his plants. That night he added another day to his count, 12 years and 1 day since he had killed anyone. He thought about the leader and the strange name she had given him. He thought about the look in her eyes at the end. Not hatred, not fear, something else. It felt like she was remembering him, like she was making sure she would not forget his face. Ho went asleep that night with a feeling he had not felt in years, the feeling that something had changed, that this was not the end of the story. He was right. The predator called him. Uncle Death then left its cubs with him. Part 2, The Return. 8 months passed. Ho added 243 more days to his count. The memory of the faded like an old dream, something strange that had happened and then ended. Life went back to normal. Normal meant quiet. Normal meant alone. Normal meant talking to his tomato plants because there was nobody else to talk to. Sometimes he spoke with Hana, a young who worked at a research station 2 days away by shuttle. She studied alien life forms and sent him messages asking about unusual things he might see in this part of space. She was curious about everything. She asked too many questions. Ho liked her anyway. "You really fought 3 hunters by yourself?" she asked during one of their video calls. "And won?" "I did not fight them," Ho said. "I stopped them from hurting me. There is a difference." "The difference sounds very small when you are the one getting stopped." Ho almost smiled. "I suppose it does." Hana leaned closer to her camera. "The do not give names to outsiders, ever. In all of recorded history, they have never named a non. Whatever you did, it mattered to them." "I just helped them," Ho said. "Anyone would have done the same." Hana laughed. "No, they would not. Most people would have run away or called for military support or died. You are strange, Ho." "I am old," he corrected her. "Old people have seen too much to be scared of new things." That night after the call ended, Ho sat in his garden and thought about Hana's words. They had given him a name. Why? What did it mean? Did it matter? He decided it did not matter. That part of his life was over. He was just a caretaker now. He took care of things, that was enough. Then his alarm started screaming again. Another ship was entering the system. This one was not falling. It was flying fast and hard, pushing its engines beyond safe limits. Ho checked the readings and felt something cold settle in his stomach. He recognized the ship's signature. It was. The vessel did not ask for permission to dock. It simply attached itself to his station's airlock and forced the doors open. Ho grabbed a metal rod from his toolkit and walked toward the noise. If this was an attack, he would not go down without a fight. But it was not an attack. She stood in his airlock, barely able to stay upright. The leader who had named him Uncle Death. Her dark fur was matted with blood. Her left arm hung useless at her side, the bone clearly broken in several places. One of her golden eyes was swollen shut. Behind her, floating on a small anti-gravity platform, was a silver pod, a stasis chamber. Inside it, Ho could see three small shapes, cubs. The leader, he would later learn her name, spoke in broken, painful words. Her translator was damaged, but he understood enough. Blood hunt, enemy clan, kill all my family, my cubs. She fell to her knees. The movement must have caused terrible pain, but she did not make a sound. She just looked up at Ho with her one good eye. You, Uncle Death, you protect, please. Ho stared at her. He stared at the stasis pod behind her. 3 cubs, 3 children, alien children, but children all the same. Where is their father? He asked. Fighting, buying time, he will die. She said it like a fact, not a question. Her mate was going to die so that she could bring their children here, to him, to a human she had met once 8 months ago. Why me? Ho asked. Why not your own people? Made a sound that might have been a laugh if it did not sound so much like crying. No one else, enemies everywhere, our clan scattered, nowhere safe. She pointed at Ho with a shaking claw. You safe, you strong, you do not kill when you can save, I saw, I remember. She was trusting him because he had shown mercy, because he had broken bones and then healed them, because he was a killer who chose not to kill. How long? Ho asked. How long do you need me to protect them? Until hunt ends, until enemies dead, or until I am dead. Then, she looked at the stasis pod at her children. Then they are yours if you want them. If he wanted them. 3 alien cubs dropped into his life without warning. 3 children who would grow up to be apex predators. 3 mouths to feed, 3 lives to protect, 3 reasons to care about something again. Ho looked at. He saw the desperation in her eye. He saw the love. A mother willing to leave her children with a stranger because that stranger was the only hope they had. He thought about his count. 12 years and 243 days. He had spent all that time running from what he was, hiding from the violence inside him, pretending he could become something peaceful. But maybe peace was not about hiding. Maybe it was about choosing what to protect instead of what to destroy. I will keep them safe, Ho said. Closed her eye. Something wet ran down her fur. Tears could cry. He had not known that. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you, Uncle Death. She pulled herself back to her feet. Every movement clearly caused her agony, but she moved anyway. She had to go back. She had to fight beside her mate. She had to give her children as much time as possible. Before she left, she touched the stasis pod one last time. She said something in her own language, words meant only for her cubs. Then she turned and walked back toward her ship. At the airlock she stopped. Their names, she said. Bren, please remember. I will remember, Ho promised. Then she did something that made his heart stop. She walked back to him, lowered her massive head and pressed her forehead against his. The touch lasted only a moment, but Ho understood what it meant. He had read about customs. This was the gesture of absolute trust, the gesture given only to true family. Then pulled away, turned and left. Her ship detached from the station and flew away, pushing its damaged engines as hard as they could go. Ho watched until she disappeared among the stars. He was alone again, except he was not alone, not anymore. The stasis pod sat in the middle of his cargo bay, humming softly. Inside it, 3 cubs slept, unaware that their mother had just said goodbye, unaware that their father was probably already dead, unaware that their entire world had changed. Ho walked over to the pod and looked at the controls. The stasis would end in 6 hours. The cubs would wake up in a strange place, surrounded by unfamiliar smells, with a creature they had never seen before standing over them. He had 6 hours to prepare. Ho called Hana. "I need everything you know about cubs," he said. "Food, temperature, behavior, everything now." Hana stared at him through the screen. "What happened?" "I became a father," Ho said. I'm not sure how this works." He looked back at the stasis pod. 3 small shapes, 3 children, 3 reasons to keep going. The counter in his head started over. Day 1 of something new. Day 1 of being responsible for lives that were not his own. Day 1 of being Uncle Death for real. The predator called him. Uncle Death then left its cubs with him. Part 3, The Cubs. The stasis pod opened with a soft hiss. Cold air spilled out across the cargo bay floor. Ho stood back, giving the cubs space. He had spent the last 6 hours preparing. He had read everything Hana sent him. He had set up heat lamps because cubs needed warmth. He had prepared food based on their dietary needs. He had cleared a section of the station for them to sleep in. None of that mattered when 3 pairs of yellow eyes opened and looked at him with pure terror. The largest cub was female. She stood in front of her brothers, her small body tense and ready to fight. Her fur was dark like her mother's, and her eyes held the same fierce intelligence. She was maybe 8 years old in human terms, though Ho knew age differently. Behind her crouched Bren, the middle cub, male. His fur was lighter, almost gray, and his posture screamed aggression. He was ready to attack. Every muscle in his small body was coiled like a spring. The smallest one hung back. Also male. His fur was patchy, his body thin. Even Ho could see that something was wrong with him. He looked sick. He looked weak. "Hello," Ho said softly. He did not move. "My name is Ho. Your mother brought you here. You are safe." Bren attacked. The cub was fast. His claws were small but sharp. He threw himself at Ho's legs, slashing and biting with desperate fury. Ho did not strike back. He simply stepped aside, let the cub's momentum carry him past, and waited. Bren spun around and attacked again, and again, and again. Each time, Ho avoided him without fighting back. He moved like water flowing around a stone. He never raised his hands in anger. He never made a sound of frustration. After the 10th attack, Bren stopped. He was breathing hard, exhausted. His small chest heaved and tears ran down his furry face. "Are you finished?" Ho asked quietly. Bren stared at him. He did not understand the words, but he understood the tone. No anger, no threat, just patience. Ho walked to the food he had prepared and placed a bowl on the floor. Cooked meat, cut into small pieces. The smell filled the cargo bay. "Eat," Ho said. "You must be hungry." Moved first. She approached the bowl slowly, sniffed it, and took a small piece. After a moment, she nodded to her brothers. The food was safe. Bren did not eat. He just sat on the floor, shaking with emotions he did not know how to express. His mother was gone. His father was probably dead. Everything familiar had been taken away. And now this strange creature was offering him food like nothing was wrong. Ho sat down on the floor far enough away that the cubs did not feel threatened. He did not speak. He did not move. He just waited. After a long time, Bren crawled over to the food bowl and ate. The first week was the hardest. The cubs did not trust Ho. They slept in a pile in the corner of their room as far from him as possible. Bren attacked him at least 3 times a day, watched him constantly, looking for any sign of danger, barely moved at all. Hana called every day with advice. "Cubs bond through physical contact," she explained. "Grooming, touching. They need to feel safe through touch. They will not let me near them, Ho said. Then wait, let them come to you. So Ho waited. He brought food 3 times a day. He sat in their room and read books out loud, letting them get used to his voice. He kept the temperature warm. He gave them space. Slowly, things changed. Started watching him with curiosity instead of fear. Bren's attacks became less frequent, then stopped entirely. Began to respond when Ho spoke, lifting his head to listen even though he could not understand the words. On the 10th day, Ho brought a brush. Your fur is tangled, he said to, holding up the brush. May I help? Stared at him, then slowly she turned her back to him, permission. Ho brushed her fur gently, working out the tangles with careful movements. His whole body relaxed. A sound came from her throat, something between a purr and a sigh. Contentment. Bren watched with wide eyes. When Ho finished he looked at the male cub. Your turn. Bren hesitated. His pride struggled against his need. Then he walked over and sat down in front of Ho. The brushing became a daily ritual. Every evening, Ho groomed all 3 cubs, working through their fur while talking softly about nothing important. His garden, his tea, the stars outside the window. But was getting worse. The smallest cub had stopped eating. His breathing was labored. His fur was falling out in patches. Hana ran tests remotely and found the problem. It is a parasite, she said, her face worried on the screen. Common in cubs, usually treated by pack healers with traditional medicine. But we do not have that medicine. We do not have a healer. What will happen without treatment? Ho asked. Hana was silent for a moment. He will die, within a week, maybe less. Ho looked lying weak and still on his sleeping pad, sat beside her brother, grooming his patchy fur with desperate gentleness. Bren paced back and forth, growling at nothing because there was nothing to fight. Send me everything you have, Ho said. Medical data, anatomy charts, anything about this parasite. Ho, you cannot perform medicine. You do not have the training or the equipment. I have hands, Ho said. I have knowledge. I was a field medic for 20 years. I have performed surgery in war zones with less than what I have here. He looked at again. I will not let him die. The data came. Ho spent 2 days studying it, memorizing every detail. The parasite lived in the cub's stomach. It needed to be removed surgically. In medicine, this was done with special tools and years of experience. Ho had neither, but he had steady hands, he had determination, and he had 3 cubs who were counting on him. On the morning of the surgery, Ho prepared everything carefully. Sterilized tools, cleaned surfaces, anesthesia adjusted for biology. And Bren watched from the doorway. Ho had tried to make them leave, but they refused. They would not abandon their brother. I will save him, Ho told them. I promise. The surgery took 6 hours. 6 hours of careful cutting, of searching through alien organs, of finding the parasites and removing them one by one. Ho's hands never shook. His focus never broke. He had performed surgery on humans while bombs exploded nearby. He could do this. When it was over, Ho stitched the wound closed and collapsed into a chair. His whole body ached. His eyes burned from concentration. Was breathing steadily. His vital signs were stable. He was going to live. That night something changed. Ho sat in the cubs' room, too tired to move. He thought the cubs were asleep. Then he felt something warm press against his side. Had curled up beside him. Her small body radiated heat, and her eyes were closed in peaceful sleep. A moment later, Bren appeared on his other side. The cub who had attacked him so many times now pressed close, seeking warmth and safety. And, weak but alive, crawled into Ho's lap and went still. For the first time in 12 years, Ho felt tears on his face. He did not wipe them away. He just sat there, surrounded by 3 alien children who had finally decided to trust him. I will protect you, he whispered. I promise, no matter what comes. Outside the station, the stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there, enemies were still hunting. Somewhere out there, danger was coming. But in this small room, in this quiet moment, there was only warmth, only peace, only family. Ho closed his eyes and slept better than he had in years. The predator called him. Uncle Death then left its cubs with him. Part 4: The Hunt Arrives. 3 weeks after surgery, the enemy found them. Ho was in the garden, showing how to water the tomato plants. She was fascinated by growing things. On her, they did not farm. They hunted. The idea of making food grow from dirt and water seemed like magic to her. Bren was practicing combat moves in the cargo bay, attacking a training dummy that Ho had built for him. The cub still had aggression to burn. Better to let him fight something that could not be hurt. Was sleeping, still recovering his strength. He was getting better every day. His fur was growing back. His appetite had returned. Everything felt almost peaceful, almost normal. Then the alarm screamed. Ho's blood went cold. He grabbed S's arm and pulled her toward the interior of the station. Bren, get your brother now. The cubs did not ask questions. They had learned to trust Ho's voice. When he sounded like this, something was very wrong. Ho checked the scanner. A ship was approaching. Large, armed. It carried 8 life signs all, but this was not clan. The ship's markings were different, enemy markings. The had found them. Ho worked fast. He sealed the cubs in the station's most secure room, a storage vault built to survive asteroid impacts. The door was thick metal. The walls were reinforced. Nothing short of a direct missile strike could break through. Stay here, he told them through the door. Do not open this door for anyone except me. Do you understand? What is happening? Asked. Her voice was scared but steady. Bad people are coming, Ho said. I am going to stop them. Alone. Bren's voice was sharp with worry. The cub who had once attacked Ho was now afraid for him. I have done this before, Ho said. A long time ago. Stay quiet, stay safe, I will come back. He did not say he promised. He was not sure he could keep that promise. Hana's voice crackled through the comm. Ho, I am picking up that ship on my sensors. 8 hunters. You cannot fight 8 alone. I do not plan to fight them, Ho said. He walked to a panel on the wall and opened it. Inside was equipment he had not touched in 12 years. Military equipment, emergency supplies, things he had brought to this remote station and tried to forget. Then what are you going to do? Hana asked. Ho loaded a small weapon and checked its charge. He picked up a bag of devices that looked innocent but were not. I am going to hunt them first. They landed outside the station. 8 hunters, led by a massive male named. He was the largest Ho had ever seen, covered in scars from 100 kills. His claws were longer than Ho's fingers. They expected easy prey. A single human, 3 cubs. They would be finished before sunrise. They entered the station through the main airlock. The lights were off. The air was cold. Find the cubs, ordered. Kill the human if he gets in the way. His hunters spread out through the dark corridors. They moved silently, like shadows with teeth. The first one died without making a sound. Ho had changed the station's gravity in specific sections. When the hunter walked into a junction corridor, the gravity suddenly increased to 5 times normal. They was crushed against the floor before he could even gasp. The second hunter heard something and went to investigate. He found his dead companion and started to call a warning. Ho dropped from the ceiling behind him, wrapped a wire around his throat, and squeezed until the hunter stopped moving. The third and fourth hunters entered the cargo bay together. Smart. They thought staying in pairs would protect them. They were wrong. Ho had filled the cargo bay with a gas that was harmless to humans but blocked sense of smell. They could not track him by scent. They could not hear him over the hum of the ventilation system he had turned to maximum. They only knew he was there. when the first one felt something sharp slide between his ribs. Now knew something was wrong. 4 of his hunters were gone. The station was not a target, it was a trap. "Show yourself," roared into the darkness. "Face me, human." Ho's voice came from everywhere and nowhere, carried by the station's speakers. "You came here to kill children. You do not deserve an honorable fight." Smashed a wall with his fist. "You are prey, you are weak, you hide in the dark like a coward." "No," Ho said. "I hide in the dark because that is where hunters belong, and tonight I am the hunter." 2 more fell. One walked into an area where Ho had vented the atmosphere. He suffocated before he could reach safety. Another stepped on a trap that sent electricity through his body until his heart stopped. 6 down, 2 left, and 1 final hunter. "Stay close," growled to his last companion. "He cannot take us both." They moved through the station slowly, checking every corner, every shadow. His massive claws were ready to tear apart anything that moved. They found Ho in the corridor outside the vault where the cubs were hidden. He stood in the open, alone, holding nothing but a small knife. "You protect young that are not yours," said. "Why, they are not your blood, they are not your species." Ho looked at the vault door behind him. He thought of his curiosity, Bren's fierce loyalty, his gentle spirit. "They are my family," he said. "That is all the reason I need." Laughed, "Then you will die for them." The final hunter attacked first. Ho was faster. He drove his knife into the eye and pulled it out before the body hit the floor. Then was on him. The massive was everything Ho was not. Bigger, stronger. His claws cut through the air like swords. His teeth snapped inches from Ho's face. Ho was cut, slashed, thrown against walls. He felt his ribs crack. He felt blood running down his face. But he did not stop. He could not stop. Behind that door were children, his children, and he had made a promise. Grabbed Ho by the throat and lifted him off the ground. "Any last words, human?" Ho smiled. His teeth were red with blood. "Yes, look down." Looked, Ho's knife was buried in his chest, directly in his heart. The giant dropped Ho and stumbled backward. His eyes were wide with shock. "Impossible," he whispered. "You are just a human." "No," Ho said. "I am Uncle Death." Fell and did not get up. Ho collapsed against the vault door. His vision was blurring. His body was broken. He had won, but the cost was everything. He heard the vault door opening. He tried to say no, tried to tell the cubs to stay inside, but his mouth would not work. Small hands touched his face, was crying. Bren was growling at something, trying to protect him, was pressing against his side. "Help," said. She was using human words, words Ho had taught her. "Help, please, someone help." Her voice went out through the comm system, through the emergency beacon, out into space, calling for anyone who could hear. Ho closed his eyes. The last thing he felt was 3 small bodies pressed against him, refusing to let go. He hoped it was not the last thing he would ever feel. The predator called him. Uncle Death then left its cubs with him. Part 5, Family. Ho woke up to the sound of arguing. Voices, deep and rough like stones grinding together. He did not understand the words, but he understood the tone. Someone was angry. Someone else was trying to calm them down. He opened his eyes. The ceiling above him was white, medical bay. His body was wrapped in bandages and connected to machines. Everything hurt, but the pain was distant, dulled by medication. "You are awake." Hana's face appeared above him. She looked exhausted, but she was smiling. "How?" Ho managed to ask. His throat felt like sandpaper. "I received distress call," Hana said. "I flew as fast as I could. You were almost dead when I found you. I did not know if you would survive." "The cubs?" "They are fine. They would not leave your side for the first 3 days. I had to force them to eat and sleep." Hana's smile grew wider. "They love you, Ho. I have never seen anything like it." The arguing outside got louder. Ho tried to sit up, but pain flared through his chest and he fell back. "Do not move," Hana said. "Your ribs are still healing. You are lucky to be alive at all." "Who is arguing?" Hana hesitated. Came back and her mate, they survived the blood hunt. Their enemies are destroyed. "That is good news," Ho said. "Why are they arguing?" "Because the cubs will not leave you, and is not happy about it." Ho closed his eyes. He understood. He was a human, an outsider. He had protected the cubs, but now their parents were back. The cubs should be with their own kind, their own family. "Let him in," Ho said. "Are you sure? He is very angry." "Let him in. I need to talk to him." Hana nodded and left. A moment later, the door opened and a massive entered. Was slightly smaller than had been, but he was still terrifying. His fur was dark red, his eyes like golden fire. He walked to Ho's bed and stood over him, looking down at the wounded human with an expression of confusion and frustration. "You killed 8 hunters," said. His voice was cold. "Alone?" "Yes." "You saved my children?" "Yes." His claws flexed. "My cubs smell like you. They speak your language. They cry when I try to take them away from you." Ho met his eyes without fear. "I did not mean to take them from you. I only meant to keep them safe." "You are human. You are soft. You should not have been able to do what you did." Leaned closer. "What are you?" Ho thought about the question. What was he? A killer who had stopped killing. A soldier who had run away from war. A man who had spent 12 years hiding from himself. "I am someone who had something precious to protect," he said finally. "That is all." Stared at him for a long moment. Then he straightened up and walked to the door. "My cubs will visit you," he said. "I cannot stop them. Perhaps I do not want to." He paused at the doorway. "My mate named you well, human. You are Uncle Death, and," he seemed to struggle with the next words, "and you are family now, whether I like it or not." He left. A moment later, 3 small shapes rushed into the room. Reached him first. She climbed onto the bed carefully, avoiding his bandages, and pressed her forehead against his. "You came back," she said. Her human words were getting better every day. "You promised you would come back, and you did." Bren stood at the edge of the bed, trying to look tough and failing. His tail was wagging slightly, betraying his relief. "I knew you would win," Bren said. "You are Uncle Death. Nobody can beat Uncle Death." Did not speak. He just climbed up and curled against Ho's side, careful not to hurt him. His small body was warm and solid and alive. Ho felt tears in his eyes again. He did not wipe them away. "I missed you," he said. "All 3 of you." Appeared in the doorway. She looked different from the last time he had seen her. Her wounds had healed. Her fur was clean and brushed. She looked like a queen again. "Thank you," she said simply, "for everything." "You trusted me with them," Ho said. "I could not let you down." Walked to the bed and touched her forehead to his, just as she had done all those months ago. The gesture of absolute trust. "You are welcome in our clan," she said. "Now and always. Where we go, you may follow. Where we hunt, you may hunt. You are one of us." "I am not a hunter," Ho said. "Not anymore." Almost smiled. "You are what you choose to be, Uncle Death. Nothing more, nothing less." 3 months later, Frontier Station 17 was no longer quiet. Ships came and went regularly. His clan had established a formal alliance with the station, the first of its kind between and humans. Diplomats from Earth wanted to study it. Scientists wanted to understand it. Ho just wanted to tend his garden. He was planting new seeds when came running up. The cub was healthy now, strong and fast. He carried something in his clawed hands. "Uncle Ho, look what I caught." It was a butterfly. Ho had imported some insects to help pollinate his plants, had become obsessed with chasing them. "Very good," Ho said. "Now let it go. Butterflies need to be free." Opened his hands and watched the butterfly fly away. His golden eyes followed it with wonder. "Uncle Ho." "Yes." Are you happy? Ho stopped planting. He looked at the garden around him, at the station that had become something more than a hiding place. He thought about the number he had kept in his head for so long, 12 years since he had killed anyone. That count had been reset now. He had killed again to protect the cubs. 8 enemies dead by his hand. But the killing did not define him. What came after defined him. The healing, the protecting, the loving. Yes, Ho said, I am happy. His communicator beeped. Commander's voice came through. Ho, I heard you have become some kind of alien diplomat. Is that true? I am just a caretaker, Ho said. I take care of things. Things that include 3 alien children and an alliance between species. Ho smiled. I have a big garden. Laughed and ended the call. Ho went back to planting. And Bren came running up a few minutes later, arguing about something. Bren wanted to spar, wanted to help with the garden, wanted to catch more butterflies. 3 voices, 3 children, 3 reasons to wake up every morning and be grateful. The galaxy was still dangerous. There were still enemies out there, still hunters and prey, still violence and death. But here in this small station, surrounded by plants and cubs and warmth, there was peace. Ho had spent 12 years running from what he was. He had thought he needed to hide from the killer inside him. He had thought peace meant being alone. He had been wrong. Peace was not the absence of violence. Peace was having something worth protecting. Peace was choosing love over fear. Peace was a tired old man sitting in a garden while 3 alien children played around him, calling him uncle, trusting him with their lives. Humans were soft. Humans were weak. Humans had no claws, no fangs, no armor. But humans had something else, something they had never understood until now. Humans had hearts big enough to love children that were not their own. Humans had spirits strong enough to die for strangers. Humans had the strange, wonderful ability to turn enemies into family. That was what made them dangerous. That was what made them beautiful. That was what made them human. And Ho, Uncle Death, protector of cubs, keeper of gardens, was proud to be one.